What is more lethal, Harley Quinn's bonking hammer or Dreamer's dream-walking departure from a man's cranium? The answer may shock you. Also shocking, how deep, nuanced, and dark Nicole Maines is willing to get with her pride and joy, Nia Nal, aka Dreamer. Who's more terrifying, Bizarro or Clockman? And who's the more unhinged character, Harley Quinn or Black Alice? Come with me on a journey as I explain the events of the comic Suicide Squad Dream Team by Nicole Maines. Content warnings / trigger warnings, mentions of child abuse and mass genocide, suicide, and sexual assault. Who is Nicole Maines? Nicole Maines, she, her pronouns, is a writer, actor, and trans rights activist who is also trans. Nicole Maines' debut acting role was in an episode of Royal Pains in 2015. Great medical show, love it, great setting. Phenomenal actors. Anyway, soon after, Nicole Maines voiced Osa in Rainbow Six Siege. Then in 2018, Nicole Maines was cast as Nia Nal, aka Dreamer, heading into Supergirl Season 4, and played the character in 61 episodes of the Supergirl show across 3 seasons, as well as appearing as Nia Nal in DC's Legends of Tomorrow as part of the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, and the year after Supergirl finished, appeared in an episode of The Flash's 9th and final season. Nicole has openly admitted that the show was her gateway into comic books, not having read the medium prior to being cast. Post-Supergirl Dreamer roles for Maines have also included a 4-episode stint on Good Trouble, terrible show title, phenomenal show content with tons of queer representation, and had a frequently recurring role in Yellow Jackets. Maines released an autobiographical memoir titled It Gets Better, Except When It Gets Worse, and Other Unsolicited Truths I Wish Someone Had Told Me in 2024. Maines has embraced comic book writing, bringing her character of Dreamer to the page, first with short stories and anthologies like DC Pride, then with a co-writing guest stint with Tom Taylor on issues of Superman, Son of Kal-El. Nicole Maines then wrote a young adult novel, Bad Dream, A Dreamer Story, drawn by Ry Hickman, that revealed Dreamer's comic book origin. Nicole Maines also started writing a free online webtoon called Truth Man, created by Adam Huss, chronicling the rise of a teen heroic avenger of the same name as he traverses an apocalyptic world run amok with monsters who were once humans that let their fear and anger over the others in society fester until their ugliness overtook their outsides. Truth Man is the only hope for the humans that remain, an ally to those regarded as living on the fringes of society at a time when one is needed the most. Nicole Maines has also starred in a horror movie currently in post-production called 6 Till Midnight. Nia Nal, better known by her alias as Dreamer, began as an original creation for the CBS and CW Arrowverse show Supergirl for the show's last 3 seasons and crossover episodes with The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. Dreamer is a character with dream-based powers, not just to predict the future in a dream state, but able to generate blasts and shields with dream energy. Leading up to Supergirl's final season, Nicole Maines was concerned that the important representation Nia Nal represented to young trans people would fade away once the show concluded, and went to meet with DC Comics headquarters. In an interview with Comics Beat, she said that she told DC, "Hey, this is the first trans superhero on television. She means a lot to a lot of people. She's really cool. People have really attached themselves to her, who aren't even in the community. And people love her, and she's cool. Is there a plan to bring her into the comics and keep that story alive?" And there wasn't. So I had gone in and I had pitched this whole ongoing series, which really demonstrates my fundamental lack of understanding of how comic books work, because I really just thought I was going to roll up in this character who has no history was going to be given an ongoing. To quote an interview Maines did with AIPT, "I think it's important for Dreamer to be in the DCU now because she's needed. Likewise, in the comic, she's showing up because she is urgently needed. We are seeing an unprecedented level of anti-LGBTQ sentiment, but specifically anti-trans legislation here in the States and everywhere, of course, specifically targeted at queer children. To be able to give those children a superhero who is powerful and smart and important and beautiful and trans is invaluable at this point." DC were receptive and went, "Well, we need an addition for our DC Young adult graphic novel line, specifically a story about sisters," to which Nicole responded, "Well, Dreamer has an infamous sister," to which DC shocked Nicole by asking her if she wanted to write it, to which Nicole was like, in a paraphrased way, I don't think you understand. I brought you the idea to take and run with. I wasn't asking to write it." She eventually agreed to take a crack in early 2020, and Bad Dream, a Dreamer story by Nicole Maines, was published in 2024. In an AIPT interview, Maines said, It's difficult writing queer heroes because you want to simultaneously do their identities and their struggles and their lives justice, while at the same time, you're not trying to make them a caricature of themselves, or you're trying to avoid putting it in a place where it doesn't make sense. Nia Nal in the comics is an ancestor of Legion of Superheroes member Nura Nal. The Legion of Superheroes are a 31st century coalition of young superpowered aliens dedicated to protecting people and social reform through inspiring the galaxy with the legends of superheroes like the time of old, also, or the present point in history. In July 2022, Nia appeared in Superman Son of Kal-El issue 13, making her debut within the main DC Comics continuity, an issue co-written by Nicole Maines and Tom Taylor, with Nia subsequently appearing in Superman Son of Kal-El issues 14 and 15, also written by Tom Taylor. I strongly suspect the co-writing of the Dreamer parts of the Son of Kal-El series was for Taylor to do some mentoring on how to write comics with Maines, with Maines' 2021 DC Pride contribution with a short story about the CW version of the character being a way to get her used to the solo writing process. Nia Nal in the main comics is an outsider in Parthus, an alien sanctuary on Earth almost entirely self-sufficient and off the grid from human society, deplorably othered by her fellow aliens due to Nia's transness. Nia made this tweak to how Nia is treated in Parthus different from how it was portrayed in the Supergirl TV show to represent how in real life trans people will sometimes take shots from other marginalized people, especially within the LGBTQ community. Nicole wanted to highlight the way that even among diverse communities, transness can often be the last hurdle people can't get over for some reason. Nia's mother, Isabel, is Naltoran, but her father, Paul, is human, and she has a sister, Maeve. Nia is from a line of Naltoran seers, gifts passed from mother to one of her daughters. The powers are inadvertently drawn to Nia, who read the stories of the seers, filling her with a fire, a yearning to be like the seers, inadvertently willing the powers onto herself. This angers her sister, Maeve, who, as a result, is left future-blind, powerless, despite Maeve having trained her whole life for the role of seer and associated powers, and the two are currently estranged. And now Tauren shows up on Earth, killing Nia and Maeve's mum, Isabel, filled with jealousy after seeing how powerful Nia now will become, with her mother and sister gone from her life via different means, and Maeve hoarding the old texts that could assist her. Nia and her father, Paul, the human, collaborate to figure out how to interpret Dreamer's dreams and dream lore. For a more comprehensive history of Nicole Maines or Nia Nal, please check out the Comic Club YouTube upload that I've done for the Bad Dream, A Dreamer Story by Nicole Maines and Ry Hickman. Harley Quinn, or Harley Quinzel. Originally a creation for the Batman animated series inspired by her original voice actor Arlene Sorkin, former psychiatrist Dr. Harleen Quinzel was a lackey called Harley Quinn and paramour of the Joker. Much like the animated series, in the comics Harley went through a growth arc, realizing her dynamic with Joker is toxic and abusive and throws his bony white butt to the curb, assisted by her best gal pal Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy. See the Poison Ivy YouTube Comic Club for more details on the character. Harley in the comics is a bisexual in a semi-polyamorous, non-monogamous relationship with Poison Ivy. Harley has no actual powers, is just good with a hammer, a quirky personality, and some gymnastics, and has transitioned from villain to anti-hero over 3 decades, headlining multiple ongoing solo series and a part of a plethora of team books as part of Suicide Squad, Gotham City Sirens, the Bat Fam, and even the Justice League. Harley's been adapted in a lot of media, including being frequently voiced by Tara Strong, but my favorite versions are almost always those that lean more heavily on her psychiatry background. For a more in-depth bio on Harley, check out the Eto comic cast for Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn Eat Bang Kill Tour comic casts, or the DC Pride 2022 and Poison Ivy comic clubs, all on YouTube. Simply put, we've done a lot of Harley Quinn content. Laurie Zeklin, aka Black Alice, is a Gail Simone creation first introduced in 2005's Birds of Prey, issue 76. On the same day that her mother unalives herself by overdosing on drugs, Laurie discovers that she has the mystical ability to borrow the magical powers of other superheroes or supervillains regardless of how powerful they are, leaving her targets powerless in turn, while the maximum range of her ability is unknown, potentially limitless. Additionally, her clothes and appearance change to reflect attributes of the person whose powers she's taken. Laurie, taking the name Black Alice, formulates a plan to avenge her mother's death and punish the prescription drug traffickers. Following his wife's death, Laurie's father becomes depressed and reclusive, with Laurie designating herself as his caregiver. Her grades begin to slip and she becomes alienated from her peers. After a couple interactions with the Birds of Prey and Dr. Fate, the secret society of supervillains tries to recruit Laurie by resurrecting her mother. Alice declines and Eve returns home to her parents, but her resurrected mother is left in a permanent state of shock and unable to speak. Distressed by his wife's condition, Laurie's father turns to alcoholism again. Laurie snaps when Oracle reveals that her mood swings are a side effect of the antidepressants she's been taking to restrain herself. In the 2008 run of Secret 6 by Gail Simone, Black Alice convinces Deadshot and Catman that she can join the team by using her powers to take out several cops. She is accepted once she reveals that her father is sick and she needs money. Catman is troubled by the fact that Alice is not disturbed at his actions and easily opts for violence. In the New 52 continuity reboot, Alice's origin is altered. Her power now comes from a demon who inhabited her body when she was seemingly killed in a car crash. She became an orphan in that same car accident. The injuries of the crash would have killed her too, but in her dying moment, she called out to pagan gods and demons, asking to be spared. One of them answered. Though she ultimately survived, she wasn't aware that the price to pay was becoming a vessel to this ill-intentioned demon. That bond is also what gave her the ability of borrowing power from magic users, hoping that this much power in her hands would lead to catastrophic consequences. The demon found amusement in the irony of a death-worshipping goth girl becoming the very thing she claims to crave most. Post-Rebirth, I don't know which origin is actually canon, though some of the allusions in Secret 6 and Suicide Squad Dream Team suggest the latter origin is still canon. Bizarrely, this is one of the first times I've personally encountered when both the pre-52 and post-52 origins, with a heavy backstory retcon, have both been written by the same author and character creator, Gail Simone. Jon Kent, the son of Superman and Lois Lane, with all of his father's powers, including some 90s specific electricity generation powers, hasn't fully emotionally processed spending the majority of his teen years depowered inside a volcano in an alternate dimension, being held prisoner and taunted by an evil alternate dimension version of his father. Jon, a bisexual with his boyfriend Jay Nakamura, have toppled a dictator who seized control of Gomorrah called Henry Bendix while working for an online truth-busting video platform called The Truth. Jon goes by the same codename as his father when fighting crime: Superman. For a more comprehensive bio on Jon Kent Superman, see any of the YouTube uploads that this channel has done for the Superman Son of Kal-El comic clubs. Amanda Waller, known as The Wall, first appeared in 1986's Legends Issue 1. A bureaucrat with a distaste for conventional crime fighting, employs more hardline methods, and is an expert tactician and political operator. The character serves as both an ally and antagonist to the superheroes of the DC Universe. Waller is often depicted as a non-powered, high-ranking government official and the leader of Task Force X, known as the Suicide Squad, a secret black ops group composed of supervillains current or former undertaking high-risk missions as expendable agents for commuted prison sentences in return, with lethal implanted explosive microchips inside them being detonated if they deviate too far from orders. Additionally, she's also commonly associated with several government agencies, such as Checkmate, the Department of Extranormal Operations, or the DEO for short, and Argus. The Suicide Squad have been around since 1959's The Brave and the Bold issue 25, led in the field by Rick Flag, although their backstory wasn't fleshed out properly until the late 80s. Though the roster has changed considerably over the years, some of its best-known members include Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, King Shark, and Harley Quinn. For a more comprehensive bio on the Suicide Squad, check out the YouTube upload for Edo's Comic Cast recording for Suicide Squad Bad Blood by Tom Taylor. Tying into the main Absolute Powers event in the Absolute Powers Origins miniseries by movie maker John Ridley, who wrote 12 Years a Slave and Ben-Hur, it is revealed that Amanda Waller started to develop hatred for metahumans because a serial criminal known as Candyman sexually assaulted and killed her daughter and husband, in addition to time spent on Earth 3 fighting an evil version of the Justice League, made her jaded and cruel. After her husband dies killing his daughter's rapist, meaning the life insurance company won't pay out life insurance for somebody who died committing a crime. In her career, Waller campaigned on behalf of Douglas Gravenport, a politician who worked to undermine the social programs on which her family relied, compromising her own beliefs and straining her relationship with her husband. Following her husband's death, she blackmails politicians to climb the political ladder. Amanda Waller has a nephew, Archie Waller, a former Argus agent with mild telepathy who goes by the codename Deadeye. Deadeye is a recent creation, first appearing in 2023's Lazarus Planet, Next Evolution. Amanda's ambition isolated her from her family, and her remaining children and grandchildren want nothing to do with her. Many iterations of Clock King exist, first appearing in 1960's World's Finest Comics. This version goes by the civilian name William Tachman, the same name as the original Clock King. Whether that means they're the same character is a massive question mark. Speaking of question marks, the Riddler in the animated Harley Quinn series was in a relationship with Clock King, the two eventually getting married. As for why the Harley animated series of Riddler married Clock King, well, there's big hands on that clock face, and you know what they say about kings with big hands? Better stick a ring on it. No other version of Clock King, even the comic ones, have been given a romantic love interest, so I don't know if that's exclusive to the show like it is for the Riddler, or if that's accurate for all versions of the character. Most versions of Clock King have little to no powers, mostly having villainous tendencies and using clock-related gadgetry. Fun fact, Barjo of Good Game Spawn Point fame in the Mortal Kombat movie played an actor who was going to play Clock King in that world's universe in a deleted scene of that movie. Action Comics, issue 10,060. The B Story is co-written by Nicole Maines and Steve Orlando. We'll do a more comprehensive biography on the openly bisexual writer Steve Orlando when we do our Scarlet Witch comic club. The art team is comprehensive and can be seen on this slide. Amanda Waller rocks up at Nia's home in the secret town of Parthus while Jonathan Kent has crashed on Nia's couch after a mission the previous day. A reminder that Parthus is a secret alien refuge where all over the galaxy have gone to live peacefully in quiet. Amanda Waller blackmails Dreamer into a mission to take down another precog called Afterthought, a disgruntled former employee deemed a threat to national security. His precognitive abilities allow him to see 5 seconds into the future. If Dreamer doesn't help Waller, Waller vows to reveal Nia's secret hometown full of illegal extraterrestrial aliens to the world. Dreamer refuses to let Jon help, as the world needs Superman focused on his own missions, not embroiled in Amanda Waller's covert ops. Afterthought wants to break into and compromise Belle Rev, a prison facility in Louisiana used to incarcerate supervillains and other kinds of metahuman criminals, as it will also compromise the entire national security infrastructure. Belle Rev is also frequently the base for the Suicide Squad and Task Force X. Dreamer acquiesces to Waller's blackmail, not just to protect Parthus, but also to minimize casualties among the prisoners and guards at Belle Rev. While Dreamer outmaneuvers and takes down Afterthought, Afterthought sends his men to take out Waller, but Waller just liquidates them. Waller tells Dr. Hate that Dreamer was always the true target, confirming she will swallow her morals to protect those closest to her, risking her life for criminals she's never met, and Waller believes Dreamer can be controlled. Dr. Hate, also known as Dark Raven, is the demonic half of Raven's soul, which was freed from Raven's soul gem in the Titans comics and became an independent being. If you don't know who Raven is, check out her bio in this channel's Titans YouTube Comic Club upload. Suicide Squad Dream Team Issue 1 recap. The art team includes Eddy Barrows and Eber Ferreira. Before the start of this issue, we see Waller send Dreamer on a mission stealing a thumb drive from a Senator Gravenport with pictures of children on it that Waller is going to use as blackmail to make significant changes to his voting habits going forward. This is noteworthy given the Senator will pop up in the Suicide Squad issues that we will be discussing in a bit. The island nation of Gamora has access to some of the most advanced weapons and defense systems in the world. The US believes those systems are under the control of a group of unidentified insurgents. They assume these hostiles took advantage of Gamora's fragile political state following the removal of their previous president, Henry Bendix. Bendix's presidency has devolved into a dictatorship, or had devolved into a dictatorship under Henry Bendix, who had deposed former president Ms. Nakamura that threatened the world with an army of mass-produced metahumans. For the sake of global security, the US has decided that Gamora's resources can't be co-opted by radicals in their mind, and whomever replaces former President Bendix must be someone the United States calls an ally by complying with whatever they stipulate. The Suicide Squad is to take back control of Gamora's defense systems and lower the shield dome, preventing US forces from reaching the Gamoran shoreline. Dreamer takes the Suicide Squad, consisting of Harley Quinn, Bizarro, Deadeye, and Clock King, to Gamora through Dreamland, exiting through a sleeping consciousness within the Gamora nation to teleport into the Gamoran capital. The dreaming person is killed in the process. With technological communications down, Deadeye's telepathy is how Waller will stay in contact with the group. Black Alice gets angry at Dreamer trying to help the man she killed, pointing out the Suicide Squad are not there to be real good or bad guys, and just a bunch of disposable crooks for the real players to push around. This antagonizes Bizarro, who refuses to accept he isn't a hero, and he busts through the ceiling in a tantrum to prove himself a hero. Black Alice, Deadeye, and Clock King all run after Bizarro. Harley sees Dreamer is in distress and puts on her old psychiatrist hat, listening to Dreamer. This is not the first time or the first person that Dreamer feels responsible for killing, discussing the death of her mother back in Bad Dream, A Dreamer Story, and the choices Dreamer made that led to her mother's death. Harley uses a terrible birdwatching analogy to reassure Dreamer that you can't always save everybody, you just have to do your best to save as many folks as you can. This is Harley's one real moment to shine across these 4 issues of Suicide Squad Dream Team. Dreamer catches glimpses in her mirror visions of bad events Waller will inflict, involving a lot of death across the remainder of Suicide Squad Dream Team, into the pages of the DC event book Absolute Power. Nicole Maines said in an interview with Comics Beat, "With Suicide Squad, because I hadn't written a series before, I ran into the problem where I got so excited and I'm like, oh, we're going to do this, and I have all these pages. Oh my God, we're totally going to be able to do it. You always need more pages than you think you do every single time, and that's what I'm realizing. So slowly learning over the course of writing a graphic novel and then the different comic series, less is more." Thoughts on Suicide Squad Dream Team from the Edo community. Jade thoughts. Jade has no idea why Dreamer is bound to the chair for any reason other than drama. She's already being blackmailed to comply. Josh's response. Jade has a definite point. Beyond it being a cool panel, if she's shackled to the chair, it doesn't make a ton of sense. I wonder if this was an error that occurred during the editing process and maybe scenes were being moved around. Ammo's thoughts. Ammo likes Dreamer as a character. Reading Bad Dreamer story helped with that, but struggled to muster any interest in the rest of the posse of characters assembled around her, aside from maybe Harley Quinn. It was nice to see Harley comfort Nia after she accidentally kills that Gamora guy. Dolphin's thoughts. Of course, Sugar, it takes a comic with Harley Quinn to bring Dolphin out of Comic Club retirement. Dolphin is very happy with this Task Force X lineup. Josh's response. With the exception of Deadeye, while there isn't enough pages to give every character a moment in every issue, every character on the squad gets a moment to shine by the end of the 4 issues, I personally felt. Wobbs' thoughts. Wobbs thinks Bizarro is terrifying, and Harley is kind of nice. Wobbs also thought some of the panel layouts were a bit awkward. The art itself was nice, but the pages didn't always flow. Laughing Seal's thoughts. Enjoyable introduction. Somewhat curious what caused Dreamer to start working with Waller in the first place, but their interaction at the start was perfect. Waller is appropriately cold and calculating, although Seal didn't know she had a nephew that she was willing to exploit. Additionally, as usual, the modern interpretation of Harley is best. Seal loves that her immediate response to seeing Dreamer in distress over the sleeping dude was to check she was okay and spend some time helping her. Suicide Squad Dream Team Issue 2 Recap. Bizarro goes on a killing spree on the island nation of Gamora, taking the bulk of the Suicide Squad to the mission objective, the control center for the impenetrable dome shield over Gamora. Deadeye takes a bullet to the shoulder. Clock King clocks that shedding Gamoran blood was always the point. Dreamer turns on the Suicide Squad, with Harley taking a fairly neutral stance beyond defending herself. With the shield down and Dreamer disappearing after being throttled by Bizarro, Waller comes in, knocks out the Suicide Squad except for Bizarro, who is set to murder Sarah Nakamura, pushing her out the window of her presidential office, reclaimed after Bendix's presidency finished, falling to her death. Her son on the phone line, hearing her demise. We'll circle back to who her son is fairly soon. Waller, assuming Dreamer has done a runner, lets the news out that Parthas exists, with growing public outrage and concern by Americans over the announcement of a secret alien colony, which pro-human organizations are calling a silent invasion, a thinly veiled allegory for the red hat-wearing racists that exist in the real world. The Blue Earth movement have gathered outside Parthas' borders in rural Ohio. Dreamer confronts Waller in Waller's dreams, trying to appeal to Waller's humanity, that being scared of aliens and retaliating with world domination isn't the answer. Waller forces herself awake, unswayed by Dreamer's pleas. Pops, keep awake! Peels, and forces Deadeye to start a new mission, ignoring Deadeye's protests. Thoughts from the Edo community on Suicide Squad Dream Team Issue 2. Jade thoughts. Jade started getting invested when the control panel shenanigans started. Ammo's thoughts. This book has so much plot, it rips through it all at such a dizzying pace, Ammo found themselves wishing Maines would slow down and let scenes breathe a bit more. Maines only really gets to lighten up the pace when Dreamer confronts Waller inside the dreamscape. Maines makes some attempts to interrogate Waller's motivations, flaws, contradictions in this scene, but Ammo found this to be all very forgettable, due to it being much the same as the conversation Dreamer and Waller already had in issue 1 over the U.S. Senator. Also, R.I.P. Jay's mom, presenting that page through Bizarro's POV was a nice way to hide in the horror. Only one page being spent on Jay's mom's death is brutal, though. See earlier complaint about pacing. Josh's response. Unfortunately, Maines doesn't get to say how many issues she's doing. That's defined by DC editorial and would have a whole bunch of bullet points she has to hit in order to lead into the follow-on Absolute Power event smoothly. Jay's mum, while important to Jay, who isn't even a character in the series, has no connection to anybody in the Suicide Squad, so I'd actually counter that it's a smart move for standalone readers to have the non-powered politician dying at the hands of Bizarro be a quick scene that then future series can deal with the fallout of and expand upon through Jay's POV, where there's time and space to actually deal with it. Golly, Mr. J, Dolphin's thoughts. Dolphin thinks getting to explore Amanda Waller's motivation through her dreams is great for the character and a fantastic use of Dreamer. Wobbs' thoughts. Wobbs has no idea what Dreamer's powers are, and now she's shooting lasers. He also thought they did a pretty good job of setting up Waller's motives. You can almost get on her side. It also does a good job of paralleling the real world without getting too close. Dreamer's powers are about harnessing and reallocating dream energy, which, like in the TV show, can be used in versatile ways depending on plot needs. Laughing Seal's thoughts. This felt a bit slower following the initial battle, but still enjoyable. Seal loves how Dreamer's power set means that it's much harder for Amanda to find, or Seal assumes, explodes her when she has no corporeal form, but then comes with the obvious downside for Dreamer. Oh, and was Waller sending thoughts telepathically at the end, or is calling Deadeye's name enough to get his attention? Suicide Squad Dream Team Issue 3 Recap. The Suicide Squad is sent after Dreamer to bring her in for Waller, delaying Dreamer long enough that the Blue Earth movement can firebomb the school in Pathos like her precognitive dreams warned her. Dreamer takes out the humans and holds her own against the Suicide Squad until Black Alice gets the best of her. Before she's knocked out, Dreamer points out that Waller has been responsible for the dark dreams Dreamer has had for months. Waller's been poisoning public opinion against metahumans, aliens, and heroes, so her absolute power crusade will look justified. The Suicide Squad handed her Gamora, which Waller will turn into super prison when Waller takes over the world. When asked about the full team of characters outside of Dreamer in a DC blog interview, Nicole Maines hoped to do them justice and not wanting a fan of any of those characters to feel like their obscure favorite did nothing. Nicole said, "It's hard because it is 4 issues, 20 pages, and it's mostly about Dreamer and Amanda Waller. I didn't want it to be a situation where it felt like the rest of the squad become supporting characters. I wanted to give everybody something to do. Everybody wants something. Deadeye, just by being blood relative to Amanda Waller, creates this really interesting dynamic with him being on her Suicide Squad. Bizarro is really cool because, yes, he's on the Suicide Squad, but he's not really a villain, is he? He's how each character does or doesn't push back to an oppressive institution such as Task Force X is cool to explore as it looks different for each squad character." Community thoughts from the Eddy community on Suicide Squad Dream Team 3. Ammo's thoughts. This issue was much more almost speed, with the bulk of it taking place in one location, and focusing on the plot of the remaining Suicide Squad members trying to take Dreamer back in. Maine's writing is vastly improved as a result, although if Black Alice could neutralize Dreamer's powers just like that, why did she wait until the last page of the issue? Dolphin's thoughts. Dolphin thinks Harley Quinn slays in her outfit this issue. Dolphin loves this dark version of Dreamer that Waller's actions has created. Jay's thoughts. Dreamer's use of her powers in this issue, leaving unconscious peeps scattered around so Dreamer can do guerrilla tactics, was fun. Wobbs' thoughts. The idea of putting a town to sleep and doing a whole guerrilla war thing is awesome. Wobbs liked seeing the team's motivation and how they're trapped by a Waller. Despite not believing in her ideals, it added a lot of emotional weight to the conflicts. Laughing Seal's thoughts. So no, she didn't want to kill Dreamer. I misunderstood. But yep, still suitably callous for Waller. Also, I know I'm way behind on Poison Ivy and Harley comics, but oh my god, she's teaching? I need to catch up stat. Suicide Squad Dream Team Issue 4 recap with art team Eddy Barrows, Eber, Ferreira, and Adriano Lucas. This issue opens with a splash page of Dreamer at the Suicide Squad's mercy, chained to the floor and ceiling and hanging agonizingly mid-air. It's a stunning, terrifying image, especially with the Hannibal Lecter-like Clock King and the misguided powerhouse Bizarro malevolently watching over her. Beaten, nearly unconscious, and with her powers sapped by Black Alice, it looks like Dreamer's down for the count. Dreamer's goal is to stop Amanda's plan to use Gamora as a prison facility for the Earth's superpowered individuals. Amanda thinks she's saving the world, but Dreamer has foreseen Amanda destroying it, and Dreamer's determined to stop her. Dreamer appeals to Bizarro, who frees Dreamer from her restraints. Dreamer takes her siphon powers, back from Black Alice, which easily revert back to Dreamer as Dreamer's abilities aren't magic-based. We learn that Amanda can't control Dreamer any longer as she found a way to remove the bomb in her head without dying. Dreamer blows out the back of the aircraft she's being held captive in, with Bizarro saving the squad from falling to their doom. But while saving Dreamer, Bizarro is taken out, though it's unclear if it's because of a bomb in his head or a sniper shot from Deadshot. I suspect the latter, given how Waller talks to Dreamer. Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot, was conceptualized by Bob Kane, first appearing in 1950's Batman issue 59, intended as a one-off villain in a tuxedo, top hat, and domino mask. Writer Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers revived and redesigned Deadshot in 1977's Detective Comics issue 474, where he made his first debut in his iconic assassin outfit, including his wrist-mounted weapons. Floyd Lawton, a mercenary with a death wish who possesses uncanny near-superhuman accuracy and regularly boasts of never missing a shot. Regarded as the greatest marksman and one of the deadliest assassins in the DC universe, Deadshot has come into conflict with various heroes, including Batman, Green Arrow, and the Justice League. The character has also been depicted as an anti-hero as a core member of the Suicide Squad. Floyd has a daughter, Zoe, born from a time spent with a sex worker he frequented, who he endeavors to keep safe. Even Deadshot couldn't protect her from DC editorial, though, as Zoe was deleted from existence in the 2011 DC Universe reboot. He was given a new daughter called Suchin. In 2012, Deadshot couldn't protect this daughter from DC editorial either, because after 3 comic appearances, Suchin has never been seen after the DC Rebirth correction, although, as a consolation prize, they gave him back his pre-2011 daughter Zoe. Will Zoe survive the next DC Universe reboot? The odds certainly aren't in her favor, given Deadshot's track record against DC editorial. Floyd Lawton died during Tom Taylor's 2019 Suicide Squad Bad Blood run, which for the longtime Eto community members, the first 6 issues of that run were covered by Blair and friends in a comic cast on their YouTube channel back in 2021. Deadshot came back in a zombie-like shambles in Matthew Rosenberg's 2021 Task Force Z series. Waller justifies her actions as good people sometimes having to let bad things happen or doing bad things. You don't get things done by playing with Boy Scout rules. Waller points out the world wasn't built for women like Waller or Nia Nals to succeed, and now after taking shots from men who would rather Waller were dead, she's finally in a place where Waller believes she can change the world for the better. While speaking to Waller, Dreamer has a daydream about knocking Waller through a window to Waller's doom. She then sees through her daydream premonition that this would also kill Paul Nall and Maeve Nall, Nia's father and sister, who have been apprehended, sedated, and injected with nanite explosive devices in their craniovertebral junctions to be triggered should Waller's heart monitor flatline. Waller is also able to detonate one or both of the explosive devices remotely and manually through previously established examples in the Suicide Squad project. Amanda had defeated Dreamer before Dreamer even knocked on Amanda's door. Dreamer now forced to work for Amanda Waller if she wants her remaining family to continue living. General discussion and thoughts for Suicide Squad Dream Team. Joshy's thoughts. Every character gets a moment to shine throughout the miniseries, even Clock King, though I'm sure there's folks who would have wanted more moments for each character to shine had the page count allowed. Amanda Waller gets to be a bureaucratic nightmare in the best way possible. Interestingly, it looks like Dreamer's outfit with the plunging neckline and popped collar is exclusive to this Dream Team miniseries. She's gone back to her normal outfit in subsequent runs, although she has kept that brown jacket. In an interview with TillysTransTuesdays.com, Maines talked about how Nia as the trans rep and Brainiac 5, the autistic-coded character, became the kids of the Supergirl CW series, despite being grown adults, and the characters were infantilized and the actors had to campaign for the characters to kiss like actual real adults would. When they found out Season 6 was the final season of Supergirl, Maines went to the writer's room, who she was already on talking terms with as they'd use her as a trans consultant to identify red flags in writing of plotlines for Nia, and told them to get rid of the buttoned-up Mayflower wardrobe look and to let Nia Nall, aka Dreamer, inside of the show actually show some actual cleavage, given how hard Nicole Maines had worked to get said cleavage. Jade's thoughts. So, is Bizarro dead at the moment, or has he already been revived since his death? Jade's physical copy includes 2 prequel stories, Primal Pain and Squad Dreams, which are unfortunately necessary setup while also feeling all over the place. When issue 1 of Dream Team rolled up, Jade's enjoyment very much increased, despite the comic following characters that Jade cares less for. Jade is here for the character interactions, plot is optional. That might be why she genuinely forgot Black Alice existed for a whole issue, because of the number of characters being juggled. Jed is intrigued by clocking. Him casually waddling over to the control panel during the chaos of the fight was delightful. Hamill's thoughts. The book really ends on a downer with Waller successfully outmaneuvering Dreamer and ensuring her complicity with Waller's future plans. Hamill will also admit they were kind of confused having Deadeye and Deadshot on the same issue. Question, what happens to the other members of the Suicide Squad after the plane blows up? Josh's editorial response. Either Black Alice pulls their fat out of the fire, borrowing the powers of Hawkgirl, Bizarro caught everybody else and put them on the ground before Nia, or Black Alice might have also borrowed Zatanna's powers, but then they're all banged up enough by the explosion to pass out once safely on the ground to not immediately intervene in the Dreamer vs. Waller showdown, or they're all red stains on the pavement. Probably the former options, given I can recall seeing Deadeye and Bizarro in absolute power. Black Alice is in the 2025 Secret 6 comic, and Harley's still puttering around in her own solo title. Who knows if anybody saved the Clock King, though he didn't do much to endear himself to any of his teammates. Gee, Mr. J, Dolphin's thoughts. Dolphin says Bizarro am hero. Dolphy's fave Dream Team panel, the Dreams Die title panel. Dolphy's fave Dream Team cover. For reasons Dolphin doubts, he needs to explain the Sweeney Boo variant of Dream Team issue 2. Wobb's thoughts. Oh, Bizarro, rest easy, my sweet prince. Wobbs really enjoyed this. He didn't really know much about the characters, but he did a great job of showing everyone's motivation, which got him invested. The heavy use of black ink, also interesting. Wobbs thought it gave everything a noir vibe, which couples well with the story's darker undertones and vibe overall. Bizarro's death caught Wobbs off guard and thought the story was paced beautifully, and the full page as the payoff really landed. Laughing Seal's thoughts. Okay, Nicole Maines managed to make Clock King sound badass. She is owed a trophy for making one of the most lame DC characters actually interesting, even if it was about half a second before he got punched in the face by Bizarro. Speaking of which, loved all the Bizarro stuff in this issue. Genuinely heartwarming and sad. Clever plan on Waller's part. Seal had been wondering if the writer was going to make Dreamer win, and if it would feel like she was turning the character closer towards something like a Mary Sue. But that conclusion was so deftly handled, and I am so happy to be wrong about her. I loved Dream Team, and I likely will go on to read Absolute Power, as I did Fear State when I fell into reading that event. I am also going to be seeking out more comics containing Bizarro, because I actually really enjoyed the dynamic he added here, and weirdly has a heart of gold, if sometimes a little rusted around the edges. Jay Nakamura, aka Gossamer, is a Gamoran refugee who is also gay, living in the United States. Jay is almost aggressively single-minded in his pursuit of truth-based journalism and activism. He anonymously ran the underground journalism site called The Truth, hell-bent on exposing lies and corruption for an activist group he led under the codename Gossamer. The word Gossamer refers to the film of cobwebs floating in the air in calm, clear weather. Gossamer accidentally exposed his secret identity on social media in Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 12. Due to experimentation against his will by Henry Bendix, Jay is also a post-human with artificially created metahuman abilities, able to turn intangible and phase through objects, people, and explosions. He is the boyfriend of Jon Kent Superman. Lois Lane is his personal hero, and he has aspirational imagery of her on his wall. Gossamer was instrumental in convincing Superman to assist taking down dictator Henry Bendix and reinstating former president and Jay Nakamura's mother, Sarah Nakamura, to presidential power. Yes, the same one that has died in Suicide Squad Dream Team. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment to find out what happens in Nicole Maines' next story, the 2025 Secret 6 series, dealing with the fallout of Suicide Squad Dream Team and Absolute Power.